Hey everybody, my name's Andrew. I'm the CEO at the Candor Investment Group, and I want to walk you guys through a live deal breakdown. I actually had an email come across from one of our excellent agents. Her name is Sonia, and she said, hey Andrew, I found this cool two-family. It looks like there's some potential here. What do you think? I thought, hey, I'll make a video about this because honestly, I get this question all the time, and I love to kind of break these down live. So I've not run through the deal yet. I actually want to take a look at it, see, kind of what I think, who's the right buyer for it, and I figured hopefully it's helpful for you guys. By the end of this video, you should know, does this deal make sense for you or not as a buyer? But stay tuned, we gotta go through some numbers, some metrics, and I'll break it down to make it a lot easier for you to understand. Here is what we have going on here. On the left side, I kind of split this in two. We're gonna have the property and kind of go through it. And on the right side, we have our calculator and kind of cheat sheet that I'm gonna share with you guys for free. We'll give it out, not a problem. It's something that we've kind of made up over time, and I like to kind of share it with everybody out there just because honestly, it's helpful to have a little cheat sheet. And so we have this two-family. It's in Maynard, Massachusetts, Middlesex County. It's kind of caught between 495. I actually had to look it up at one point. I was like, wait, where's Maynard? But it's right here. You can see on my screen. So you got 495 here. You got 95 corridors over here, and we're not that far from Boston. I mean, if you do to Boston, let's take a look. You got a 47-minute drive if you're going to commute. So we know what we're working with. This is the property, what it looks like. I always do kind of like a cheat sheet that I give people all the time is you should really try to go to Google Maps and see if you can see it. Now I can't go up the road, but I like that it's a corner a lot. The houses next to it don't look too terrible. I think everything looks like a nice area, actually at the grand scheme of things. But kind of give myself a quick rundown. I can see 2 electric meters here. That's great. That tells me that the house is split correctly. It really should have a third, which is a common meter, but I digress. Now, looking at all of this, the siding looks fine. The windows look like these are like the older windows. So I'll remember that when I look at this a little bit. It could really use a power washing. I can't tell how the vinyl is looking. I mean, this is from 2025, so it's relatively recent. This being 2026 in the summer. The roof looks okay. Got some 3 stories here. I bet the unit layouts are actually pretty nice. This looks like a classic split down the middle. So I've kind of run through what have been my homework here before I even jump into numbers, like would I want to live here? And the answer is I probably would. I would probably live here. Nice corner lot. Yeah, maybe it's a busier road. There's some cars here already, but it looks like it has a nice neighborhood it pieces into. So this is worth me taking a look. I'll pull it up on Zillow, and I love how the photos look so much better than Google. But we have a 4-bed, 2-bath, 104 Great Road in Maynard. 2,000 square feet, so I'm assuming 1,000 square foot units. That makes sense. I want to take a look at the photos again. Power washing is going to go a long way. The garage is kind of a nice added. I didn't really see until just now. That's a nice big lot, though. I mean, honestly, with the ADU laws that are going on, I would argue without even looking at this further, I'd say, hey, like maybe there's some build potential here that you should consider. That chimney looks fine. It's got a cute backyard that's going for it. The garage has its own meter, which is great. So now let's look at the inside. It's just dated. I mean, this doesn't look horrendous. I think it's people, you might want to update it best you can. It's got the beautiful hardwood floors, which is awesome. I'd probably reglaze and redo the shower a little bit. These could probably use some touch up. Oh, they have a standalone washer system. So I'm just taking a look at that. This basement's clean for sure. Hopefully that furnace has been worked on. Looks like a newer Rhymes water heater. Nothing too crazy. So we got to definitely do some touch up here. Looks like this thing might need a little bit of love. So this actually right here, this photo, it probably won't go FHA or VA because of that. That'll have to be addressed if you're an FHA VA buyer. We'll talk about what that means in a moment. Nice. All right. This is a lot of fun to work with. This kind of tells me what's going on here. It's got a pretty big corner lot. Yeah. So they mentioned the ADU as well. It's being sold as is. So if you're ever reading what does as is mean, it just means that the seller is not going to fix anything. And honestly, that's not really that big of a deal. I know I mentioned earlier, like, hey, this won't pass FHA VA. Like you can take care of that as a buyer and build it into the offer. That's just like a strategy piece I'd recommend talking to your agent about. Definitely do due diligence, zoning, is the ADU even legal? You probably have to check with the city on that. Overall, looking at this, I'm excited to rate this one. It's a 2-family for 500 grand, depending where you are. I have not looked at any of the numbers yet, but we can kind of talk about who the right person is to buy this. So if you want to ever commute to 45 minutes to Boston, you're looking at, maybe living around Boston, but you can't afford being too close. I have a feeling this is gonna be a good one for you. So a lot of times what happens, so this agent, Sonia, was really great. And she said, hey, here's the listing description, take a look. Now we are, we can kind of get like a breakdown about like how many floors, but it breaks down, you get a lot of the breakdown info from getting access from the MLS. This is a direct public record excerpt that if you have an agent, they'll send this to you and you can have this. So I like having just to take a look at this. I got a full basement, no beach, and I can see it's got washer dryer hookups. That's cool. I see the remarks, and it's got the photos. So looking at this, let's dive in. I'm gonna put the address in. So it's 104 Great Road. Now, for those of you that have no idea what I'm working on, this is actually the Bigger Pockets calculator. I'll give a shout out to Bigger Pockets because they do a really good job. You get like 4 free ones using their calculator, but if you sign up as a pro member, you get unlimited, and I highly recommend it. So purchase price is $519. Let's give them their asking for out of the gate. We can fluff numbers later a little bit, but we're going to start using some different closing cost numbers here. So I'm going to put a number in here. I'm going to say it's 3%. And you're probably like, how did Andrew get that number? I know that the closing cost here is probably gonna be like 15 grand. And it's just a kind of rough estimate. If you're using an FHA, VA loan, or really any kind of loan out there, there's going to be some closing costs associated that come with it. For FHA, conventional loan, you're typically going to pay 2 or 3% on the closing costs. So I know that you're going to have to bring that in addition to whatever your down payment is. Now, if you're ever wondering what I'm referencing, I have this cheat sheet and I give this to you for free. This is for everybody. I made this. Spent the time to look at it because honestly, I was helping so many agents and clients. I said, I got to make a cheat sheet at the end of the day. So the thing I'm about to show you, like this whole process, I actually have a video of how to do this as well. So it's just a backup so you could ever watch it if you ever just want to reference this document, make it easy. Now, how do I know something's a good deal? Really common question. This agent even said, they're like, I think something's here. It looks like a pretty good deal. And I would say, okay, like my brain always says, what's the 1% rule? How are we doing? The 1% is really simple. If I ever say, does it pass the 1% rule? I'm basically asking, does the monthly gross rent that you're going to get, is that greater than or equal to the purchase price and all-in cost for your property? So if you buy something for $90,000 and you put $10,000 into it, does it rent for at least $1,000 a month? If the answer is yes, it's a good deal. Now, I always pay attention to that core metric, and then I'm going to talk about different things. I'll get into these metrics later. I want to talk about those at some point, but I'm going to start filling out this document, this calculator. Vacancy, maintenance, water, sewer, electric, gas, whatever. I'll probably kind of go through all these, and if you're wondering how I'm getting the numbers, this is where I'm getting them from, and I'll pull the rents using the HUD here. I actually know some construction costs over time. I'm not going to get into that for this, but this is a cheat sheet that I give out, and I want you guys to all have access to it. So let's run through this. Financing deals. Let's say you're an investor and you're going to buy this for 25% down. Interest rates right now are like 6.7, give or take. Gross monthly rent. I actually don't have that. This place looks vacant, so I need to pull some rents. What's this place going to do? So I'm going to go down to my cheat sheet here. I'm going to go to the HUD. This is for the Office of Housing and Development, essentially. And this is what really Section 8, they actually use a lot of these numbers based on for just housing policy and how they get their rent numbers. A lot of investors pay attention to this website because if the rents go up and down, it tells you a lot about what the local economy is doing. So you can see what the rents are year over year. So how to walk this is 2026, click here. So we're in Massachusetts, and here we are. So we have Maynard, Mass, and basically this is breaking it down. So a 1-bedroom unit is renting for $2,400 a month. That is, Boston, Quincy as well. Okay. So it's calling it like the metro. 2-bedroom, $2,900. 3-bed is $3,500. Bananas. Okay. So this seems pretty high to me. Kind of what I'll do most of the time is I'll actually cheat. I'm always curious. So I play the game. So I'll look for Maynard, Mass, and I'm looking for rentals. And apparently I gotta buy in Maynard because this is bananas. What do we got here? $2,400 for what? What do we got? Wow. So 600. All right. So a 1-bed, 1-bath, 632 square feet for $2,400. I mean, that's turnkey. Okay. All right, they're not wrong. All right. So I just got shocked. Like I said, I haven't actually seen this yet, guys. So basically in Maynard for a 2-bedroom unit, you could get almost $3,000. That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I like that. So kind of a rule that I've told people is you should never assume you're going to get the full amount, $2,941. It's really hard to get that unless your place is turnkey, beautiful. Let's say you wanted to rent this place as is and not do a lot of construction. How could you do? So I actually recommend that people do 90% of whatever the HUD says. So let's round up. This is $3,000, right? So what's 90% of 3,000? That's 2,700. So it looks like we have 2-bed, 1-bath units. So 2,700 times 2, that place is $5,400. Property taxes, so like $7,500. I'm going to be generic. Insurance it's getting expensive. Honestly, $900 a unit is pretty fair at this point. So, I mean, let's round up. Let's just be pessimistic. Let's say it's 2,000. Repair and maintenance. So this is, again, back to the cheat sheet. If you go down, let's talk about what some of these numbers mean. So I'm going to talk about what is vacancy? Vacancy is saving a little bit of a piggy bank of your monthly gross rent to putting it to the side for a vacancy. So you might be vacant for a whole month. So you should actually pull some of that out. Banks will use this if you're buying it using a commercial loan for 5+ unit commercial multifamily. They actually want to see that you are budgeting for vacancy. And 2 to 4 unit, not so much. So, vacancy for repairs and maintenance as well. That's just like fixing like a light bulb or like a leaky toilet. You got to put some money aside for that. And then capital expenditures is like you're saving up to pay for a roof and other things. So this place needs a little bit of love. I like 5% for both of these almost every single time I do an investment. So that's a total of 10% that I'm reserving for just these things, just to be intelligent about it. Vacancy in Massachusetts is like between 3 and 4% right now. So let's be optimistic here. 3% Maynard. I mean, look at this rental demand. There's nothing available. So people are like, oh, there's no rental comps. Well, no, that's actually a good thing because it shows you that it's really desirable to live there. There's not a lot going on. Now, let's say you're going to hire a management fee. You're hiring a management company. It's 8%. That's pretty, I see like 8 to 12, give or take most of the time. If you're self-managing, we'll get to that after. It's important to know that. Now, I noticed the electricity at 2 meters, so it tells me you're not going to pay anything, and there's no common meter. It looks like there's one for a garage, but let's leave that as 0. All right, so I'm pretty sure you're going to pay for heat. I'm going to say this because in this image, this photo, right? So this is just a different perspective. This is one furnace. I don't see multiple furnaces. That tells me that you're going to have to pay for the heat. So let's say, heat, honestly, let's give it a budget of like $6,000 a year. So it's like $500 a month. Might be a little rich, actually. It's not that big of a building. I'd feel better if you did $400 a month, just because it kind of tells us a little bit what's going on. Water, sewer, I mean, the golden rule, and it's in my cheat sheet, is like $150 a month. That's pretty fair. Garbage is municipal. There's no HOA. Some people for other put $100, but hey, let's take a look. We're putting 25% down to buy this 2-family in Maynard, which has essentially a lot of demand. It looks like there people are looking for mom and pop owners. Again, if I go back to this rental list, there's nothing available. Small community, I get that, but there's not really a lot going on. So that tells you what's happening there. 25% down. What do we got? So this place, if you're being pretty aggressive about your numbers, this is going to positively cash flow $332 a month. So you just spent 25% down, so like over 100 grand to make $332 a month. Is that a good deal? Yes or no? Depends on who you are. I'm going to tell you, probably not. This is the sheet that you can get from Bigger Pockets. It's a wonderful spreadsheet and calculator. I really like how they do this. It's a great visualizer. So I want to walk through this doc because it takes a little bit to understand. On the top, you can see monthly income, what's your monthly expense, what's your cash flow at the end of the day. So that is net positive. You've saved for reserves for CapEx, you save for repairs and maintenance, you have a property management company, you are completely hands off. This thing is just making money and you are just not involved. There's a money pick account, etc., doing its thing. So we have cap rate and cash on cash return. Cap rate is basically the concept of, and this is what a lot of real estate investors use, if you paid all in cash for an asset, what is your rate of return on investment of that asset? So in this case, it's 6.58%. Compare it to the stock market. What do you see in the stock market? Typically, most people see between 4 and 5%. So the question to you is, are you happy knowing that you're going to get that return compared to the stock market? Now you get cash on cash ROI, which is the initial cash you put in. That's your rate of return is 2.76%. Is that a good deal to you? I will tell you that if you're an investor not occupying the home, that it's probably better if instead you focus on 8% up on returns. That's my personal opinion. You are not going to find that in every market. If you go to try to do this in Boston, you're actually going to see cap rates at like 4% and people are happy about it. Like 4 to 5%, it's pretty common. I'm in the New Hampshire market. We're shooting between 8 and 10% on our return. Every market's different. It's really important to know your cap rate. And so it's important to bring that up because to be transparent with you, you have to know the kind of investor you are. Now, if this investor came in and said, I want to really do this, I like Maynard and I have a little local portfolio, this makes a lot of sense, I'd say, okay, that makes sense. You own a lot in this area. But if it's your first one, is this the best deal? It's passable, right? So I shoot for, and this is my threshold, I like $150, $200 a door and pure cash flow at the end of the day. So that means that this place is kind of doing that, which is nice. And this is, again, if you're another investor coming in. Now, this is the other thing. We're not even talking about the ADU. We're not even talking about the garage. You could probably rent that garage. It's a reality. You definitely could for like $100, $200 more a month, which would increase your cash flow. Now, that's kind of something I would be mindful of. Now, you can have these nice charts. You can see where the income's coming from. You can see all the breakdown of expenses. You're going to get something called like debt coverage ratio. So this is what banks look for. They actually really want to see like 1.2 to 1.3. Typically, this is just like, what's your debt to coverage versus your income? And they want to check what that actually means. So it's important to kind of know. You have other values here that are important to know. But I think if you're a first-time investor and you're really looking at like, does this make sense? High level, ask yourself, if you want to go buy this place, does it make sense? Do you want to put $144,000 essentially to make $332 a month? Is that positive? So again, that's monthly cash flow. So at the end of the year, you're going to make almost $4,000. Okay. So you're putting 144 in, you're going to make $4,000 a year on this place. Now that includes reserves, that includes vacancy. That's important to do. What a lot of people get caught in is, I'm going to just do something real quick. They do this and it can kind of bite you sometimes. So let's say you put 0 for repairs, 0 for CapEx, 0 for vacancy, but you pay a management company 8%. A lot of people will do this. They will be like, oh no, it doesn't matter. I'll just save up anyway. I'll make $1,000 a month. That's a lot better for me. I don't need to put it aside. That's a losing strategy, because when the roof actually fails or something fails, you have to pay for it. If you look at your total investment, the one that we did originally actually showed the true value of what you're going to get. And so I'm a fan of actually keeping CapEx and repairs and maintenance if you're an investor buying something over time. And I think it's important to do. Now, that's for being an investor not living here. So this is one scenario. So if you're an investor trying to buy it, yeah, you could make $1,000, but I would recommend saving that $700 a month for the repairs and maintenance, for the vacancy. You want to see what your true yield is on your investment over time. Okay. So this is kind of what I would recommend you stick with, which is this spreadsheet here. So this is one scenario. This is as an investor. Okay. Now let's back it up. I want you to do this as a owner occupier. So there's a great loan where you can put 5% down. Okay. Fannie Freddie loan. So you only need $25,000, but you got to live here for a year. Now you got to live in one of the units. So one of the units is definitely not being rented. So we know we get $2,700 a month. Okay. So property taxes are here. Insurance is here. Repairs, maintenance, vacancy. So you're not going to pay management because you're probably going to do it yourself. I would recommend you save for those. And vacancy is actually a lot less because you're in one of the units. So it'd be like 2%. Now you're going to end up having some of the electricity bill now. 2 bedrooms, $35 a bedroom. So I'd say like, hey, let's budget for $75 a month. You're not paying for garbage and all that other stuff. You got water, sewer, and all this is here. So this is for the person that if you were trying to live in house hack, this is how a lot of us build our wealth. You can put 5% down, live here for a year. Does this make sense? We're in Maynard, and let's take a look. So you're like, oh man, Andrew, it's got 2% cap rate. I'm losing money every month. That's crazy. And I would not argue with you whatsoever. I'd say, okay, if you're a house hacker, does it make sense? Well, let's talk about it. There's only 2 units, so it's tough to do. So it's $2,300 a month in negative cash flow, but you only need $40,000, like $41,000 to buy this place. Would I recommend this to a house hacker? Yes or no? Someone that wants to live rent free? The answer is I actually kind of would. And let me explain why. The reason being is that it is $2,300 a month to live here. Also, if you want to rent a 2-bedroom, it's almost $3,000. So instead you're paying yourself $2,300 a month to live. Now, depending on the kind of person you are, you could also fudge this a little bit. Instead, let's take a look. Because again, you're just trying to live in a house hack. So for an investor, I don't really save for these numbers because honestly, you're just trying to live rent free and like, what can you do? So let's talk about it. If you don't save for those CapEx and whatnot, what are you actually doing on a per monthly basis? Because you're just trying to survive. You're really doing $2,000 a month. Okay, it's negligible now at the end of the day. So you're still like $2,000, $2,300 a month. You're kind of saving for yourself. You're paying yourself to go forward. Now, what if, again, in this scenario, what if you, instead of the 2-bedroom, maybe you're a single person, you don't need 2 beds, but you actually want a roommate? Well, what if you actually rented for like $1,000 and you rented one of the bedrooms? So now it's $3,700. I did see 2-car garages though. So what if instead we rented the garages? What if you didn't use a garage? What if instead you rented each of those bays for $200? So now we're at $400. And then the rent was $3,700. This is getting a little bit interesting. So now if you're a single person trying to live here in Maynard and it's affordable and you only need 1 bedroom, you don't want a roommate, you make them pay $1,000 a month. To live in Maynard, you're only going to pay $578 a month to live. It was $2,300, or really $2,000 at the end of the day. This is a decision you have to make as an investor. Is this worth the sacrifice? Is it worth you living with a roommate, living in an apartment building for 1 year to build up wealth, to buy an asset that eventually could actually cash flow and you could make money positively? Now, if you buy I would challenge anybody here, if you bought a single family, could you do the same thing? Probably not, unless you rented the bedrooms. My big thing is this person that I'm imagining that's doing this is the house hacker. Maybe, you know, an investor would buy Maynard, sure, let's call it. You know, there's some work that has to get repaired. I'm not arguing that for this, but looking at the high level here, if you are looking at changing your life from a financial standpoint, reducing your greatest expense on a monthly basis is going to dramatically change your life. For most people, it's housing. So you could probably live here for just under $600 a month in a very expensive market that's like $3,000 a month essentially for a 2-bedroom. And you could also buy an asset that will generate income over time. By the way, none of this conversation included in 5 years that you might have some money saved up where you want to actually build an ADU on the building. And you might also want to, you know, upgrade it and get another unit there. So you could add another unit. This place could be a 3-unit later where, yes, it would cost you money to build, but you could have 3 apartments in Maynard and make some pretty good money. This is my full breakdown. If I was a person out there watching this and I wanted to change my life and I wanted to have an apartment building, this would probably be one of the first places I would go to, is find a market that's attractive as Maynard. This looks like a pretty good deal if you're a house hacker. If you're out there trying to park some money, maybe not a bad deal, but I would argue there might be better ones out there for you, depending on what you're looking for. And that doesn't mean you can't offer them less. That's also an option out there. But I haven't walked the building. I'd recommend next steps, if anybody's interested, is get connected with an agent. You know, I can happily recommend the agent that sent me this over to you, but you should definitely go see this place. And I would recommend, like, at least talk about the final strategy for how to reduce your greatest expense, which is probably housing at the end of the day. I hope you found this helpful. And again, I hope this changes the life of somebody out there in the world. We have our investor cheat sheet here. I am giving out for free. There's a lot of stuff here between numbers to take a look at. What are some of the, you know, the standards of rental, how to look at there's local crime, there's rehab checklists. There's a lot of stuff here, but it's for you guys. It's for free. If you want to talk strategy or go over anything like this, I can happily recommend numerous agents at Candor for you. I think there's a lot of people here that have done this at our company, and we'd be happy to share it with you. We also have our meetups that are for free. We talk about items just like this on a daily basis, really. And at every one of these meetups, a speaker has done something like this. They have sacrificed, they have run the numbers. We are there to help you. And our goal is to help 1 million people reach financial independence. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. We want to grow this as much as we can. I want to keep bringing you guys content that looks a lot like this, because this is what I'm doing every day. This is what my clients are doing, and my team is doing as well. So I hope that we can kind of bring you guys this fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next. Later.